A lot of us have fond memories of Halloween, dressing up in spooky costumes, wandering around the neighborhood with friends while trick-or-treating, getting home with literal buckets full of candy, and then eating so many sugary treats that you feel sick. Halloween is a beloved holiday, especially throughout many parts of the United States. And if you were lucky enough to grow up in a town that really went all out when the last night of October rolled around, then you may have even had a local Halloween-themed fairground to visit on the creepiest night of the year. Scary rides, mazes, and jack-o'-lanterns as far as the eye can see. But with all that said, if you lived in a certain town in the Midwest, then maybe the county fair is a little more frightening than the spirit of the Halloween season usually encourages. Settle in for a story of scares, a tale of terror, and a fable of frights. This is SCP-097, also known as Old Fairgrounds. Cordoned off by the SCP Foundation using huge concrete walls is 10 acres of rural land in an undisclosed area of the Midwestern United States. The place itself is completely abandoned, left silent and alone as everything contained within those walls slowly falls into disrepair. This is all that remains of the local county fair, held in the year 1969. And right in the middle of it all, a pickup truck, crushed and wrecked beyond all use. But this truck didn't crash. Oh no, this was no tragic roadside accident. The thing that crushed it happened to be a gigantic pumpkin. Now, we aren't just talking about a local vegetable growing competition winner here. When we say this is a big pumpkin, we are talking huge. The colossal squash has been recorded to measure well over 7 meters in height, with a diameter just over 8 meters at the widest point. According to estimates, this pumpkin, known as SCP-097-1, weighs an enormous 15,000 kilograms, or 33,070 pounds. To give you a frame of reference, that's about 4 times the average weight of a hippopotamus. The pumpkin even manages to keep a perfectly spherical shape, staying plump and round rather than spreading out under its own weight as you might expect a plant of such size would. Okay, a pickup truck crushed by a giant pumpkin? You might be wondering, surely that can't be all there is. Well, don't you worry. We're just getting started with this creep show. The rest of the surrounding area of SCP-097 is abundant in overgrown pumpkins. None that quite reach the enviable size of SCP-097-1, but plenty of all different subspecies and types. On average, these smaller pumpkins weigh around 250 kilograms, or 550 pounds. Along with various other crops that have grown within the area of SCP-097, the pumpkins seem to have formed some kind of maze. No pun intended. Get it? Maze? Like corn? These jokes are wasted on you. Spooky mazes are no strange inclusion at rural Halloween fairs like this one. Getting lost in the middle of the night surrounded by rows of corn taller than a human being is all part of the fun. Makes a person feel like they're right in the middle of a classic 80s slasher movie, where the killer could be creeping up behind them any second. The naturally formed labyrinth found within SCP-097 has spread all throughout what is left of the 1969 county fairgrounds, with the walls of crops reaching over 1.5 meters tall, depending on the year. So, is that all? A maze of crops with one giant pumpkin at its center? Oh, that's far from all there is to SCP-097. During the time between April and November of every year, a number of bizarre and anomalous phenomenon takes place within this abandoned county fairground, ranging from strange happenings that defy explanation to things that are downright dangerous. Since they first came into contact with SCP-097, the Foundation have lost 8 agents to this phenomenon that occur within that area, with another 17 being severely maimed. While the exact time of these events seems to vary, the SCP Foundation keeps an extensive record of phenomena that occur within SCP-097. Now, sometimes these will be as harmless and annoying as the sound of drums playing throughout the day for almost 24 hours without stopping. Then there's the sightings of entities moving through the maze only to disappear after a few short seconds. Security footage the Foundation agents have gathered of these entities depict them as what can only be described as bedsheet ghosts, the kind you might see and immediately think of as a last-minute, low-budget Halloween costume. On one particular occasion, singing was heard in the maze, coming from an unidentified source. When analyzed, recordings made by the Foundation revealed that there were up to 30 children's voices, all singing in unintelligible gibberish for 3 consecutive hours. Another incident involved a member of personnel on site, Agent McRoy, who cut a pumpkin vine using a machete. Horrifyingly, the severed vine bled. By that we mean actual human blood came pouring out of the plant. Another agent, on a separate occasion, was also found dead within the SCP-097 maze. Agent Long had disappeared on the way to the restroom, only to be discovered lifeless and bloodied resting against a pumpkin. During one weekly examination of SCP-097, one Agent Cole broke open a pumpkin completely by accident. As the pumpkin split apart, however, to the agent's horror, a child's skeleton was revealed to be inside. A human child skeleton. A little girl crouched in the fetal position, believed to only have been about 5 years of age. Another incident saw O'Toole, a research assistant working on site at SCP-097, experiencing symptoms of nausea. O'Toole also appeared to be vomiting pumpkin seeds, despite not having eaten any recently. Within a day, O'Toole was dead, seeming to have died overnight in his sleep. An autopsy conducted by Foundation experts revealed that O'Toole's chest cavity, the space beneath his ribs, was somehow filled with the same pumpkin seeds. All of these happenings are strange to say the least, but perhaps most concerning of all is the effect that the abandoned fairground of SCP-097 seems to have on children. Any under or up to the age of 10 years old can fall victim to an unpredictable signal that seems to emanate from SCP-097, with a maximum range that is, as of yet, undetermined. Usually beginning in early April, children that are affected by this signal become afflicted with somnambulism, or sleepwalking, as it is more commonly known. On clear nights, these children will wander around their own homes, often only stopping in front of closed doorways. This behavior usually doesn't happen often, at least at first, only occurring once a week. However, sleepwalking gradually becomes more frequent, and by around the middle of August, it will be a nightly occurrence. If children with this affliction are ever woken up while sleepwalking, they will scream for several seconds before appearing confused. This seems to be the only known way to break the influence of SCP-097. However, if left undisturbed, a child will spend their sleepwalking episodes familiarizing themselves with the doorways of their house. They will stop at every entrance, exit, garage door, gate, even the neighbor's front doors once they find a way outside. From September, the sleepwalking children will stay outside, upright but asleep until the sun comes up. Many are often found laying on the grass in their gardens, and commonly recall having dreams about autumn season activities. Between September 1st and November 1st, any affected child not awoken during their sleepwalking will begin to migrate towards SCP-097's location. All while still unconscious, they will traverse county roads, cutting across large empty fields, as they gradually make their way towards the abandoned remains of the county fairground. Once there, they will even be able to blindly navigate a path through the maze that surrounds most of SCP-097 until they find the center. What happens when they make it to the center of the maze? Any sleepwalking children who are able to make it that far will seek out SCP-097-1, the gigantic pumpkin crushing the truck in the middle of the SCP-097 area. The children will then sit down around the almost 23-foot tall pumpkin and begin to sing. Even though the SCP Foundation have managed to make recordings of this, much of the singing seems to be gibberish, or at least not sung in any known language. However, music will also begin playing from an unknown source, seeming to include a number of basic instruments, most commonly simple drums and pipes. After the sleepwalking children have spent a number of minutes singing like this, that is when things take a turn for the far, far worse. Like a Charlie Brown Halloween special straight out of your most horrific nightmares. From the tangled mess of plants that make up the maze within SCP-097, things will start to emerge. These entities will crawl out of the surrounding flora, or will come bursting out from within the larger of the nearby pumpkins. They appear to be childlike in both their appearance and mannerisms, some even wearing pajamas or similar clothing. Why? Simple. Because these are the children that sleepwalked before. They are all previous victims, the ones stolen from their families and brought into this maze, still wearing the clothes that they were last seen in. They are all the children known to be lost to SCP-097. What happens next is truly chilling. The latest child that has been affected by the draw of the pumpkin-filled fairground will be quickly surrounded by all their fellow victims. The other children, if they are in fact still human children, will encircle the newest child, singing and dancing around them in a circle. As they do this, a dim light begins to glow from somewhere within SCP-097-1, the biggest pumpkin in the center of SCP-097. Finally, at this point in the process, the newly affected child will wake up. Normally, they experience a great deal of terror and confusion. After all, they have been unconscious throughout this entire ordeal, sleepwalking far away from the safety of their own home to a maze in the middle of nowhere. Terror is a powerful thing, enough to make even the bravest person let out a scream. But the moment the now awakened child lets out any sound, that is when they are doomed. Should they scream, cry, or make any form of vocal noise, then the others will swarm them. The other children, the ones previously lured into SCP-097 while sleepwalking, will attack the terrified newcomer. Each time is different. Sometimes they will claw at the new child. Other times they might bite or kick. The methods are always different. But most often this swarm of the pumpkin's previous victims will strangle or dismember the latest visitor to the abandoned fairground. At this point, there is no saving the latest victim. Any attempt to interfere will only fail. Either the children will all become intangible, or another violent phenomenon will occur within SCP-097, stopping any onlooker from saving the child's life. When the deed is finally done, and the latest victim has been killed by the other children, the gigantic pumpkin at the heart of SCP-097 will open. Its side will split like a pair of great, devouring jaws, and the children will throw the body of the newest child into SCP-097-1. Once the body has been disposed of, these entities, once children that sleepwalked away from their families, will follow, crawling into the pumpkin before it closes and the music finally stops. The exact number of children between the ages of 3 and 10 years of age who have been lost to SCP-097 is currently kept secret by the Foundation, and perhaps for all of our sanities, that is for the best. Like we said, a lot of us have fond memories of Halloween, but not all of us. Now go check out SCP-823 Carnival of Horrors and SCP Herman Fuller's Circus of the Disquieting for more creepy carnivals and unsettling circuses.